There's so much at stake today in the civil fraud case. Even though Trump can't go to jail, we're talking about tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars. And of course, setting aside the potential judgment, Trump has already lost his business licenses and can't maintain his real estate empire there in New York. He may be forced to liquidate at a loss because the commercial real estate market is depressed right now. Trump's presence is important in this case. He did not show up at his previous civil defamation trial and was found liable in that case. Whether it's a judge or a jury, the expectation is that the parties have an interest in a case and are going to be there. Now, there's no requirement to be present in a civil case like a criminal one, but it certainly goes a long way for the judge who's deciding this case to think that Trump is taking this case seriously.
Step aside, step aside.
This is a bench trial, which means the judge is going to decide both liability and damages in the case. There's no jury. And the reason that's important is the judge has already ruled that Trump and his organization submitted false financial statements and records. So the same person who ruled on summary judgment in favor of Attorney General Letitia James is also going to be deciding the facts in this case. Trump's lawyers are going to take a two-pronged approach. They're going to try to get back in front of the Court of Appeals because their best argument here is the statute of limitations. Some of these claims are older. The Court of Appeals has already ruled that some of Ivanka's claims are time barred, as well as potentially some of the earlier claims before 2016. So he's going to litigate this case in the appellate courts, but also before the judge, and he's going to put on witnesses that are going to come and testify that what was submitted to these banks and lenders was not fraudulent. The amounts were not inflated. So this is just a civil case, so Trump can't go to jail, but he could be forced to pay millions of dollars in fines. And the Attorney General's office is asking for a $250 million judgment. That's significant in and of itself. Trump is dealing with 4 different criminal cases in 4 different jurisdictions, and he's already paying his lawyers tens of millions of dollars. So if he gets hit with a judgment here, it's going to be difficult for him to continue fundraising, and those are funds that he wants to spend on his presidential race. Even though this case is just about money, it's still very important to the president's reputation. Part of his charm is that he is an amazing businessman. And if members of the public think that it was all fraud or all smoke and mirrors and he was inflating the values of his businesses, that can hurt him both politically and in terms of public perception. But from a legal perspective, being hit with a judgment saying that you committed civil fraud is still a potential problem in the criminal cases. If Trump testifies, that's something that may come into evidence in those criminal cases as well. And of course, even though it's just money, it's a lot of money. And having to pay that amount of money when he's already dealing with a defamation judgment, when he's being sued civilly in other cases, and he has to pay his lawyers. And I'm sure most of his lawyers are asking for upfront retainers in those criminal cases because Trump has a reputation for not paying his lawyers sometimes. So in the grand scheme of things, even though it's just money, money is very important to Donald Trump right now, especially when he's campaigning for president.
morning, everyone. Donald Trump and the other defendants have committed persistent and repeated fraud. Last week, we proved that in our motion for summary judgment. Today, we will prove our other claims. My message is simple. No matter how powerful you are, no matter how much money you think you may have, no one is above the law. And it is my responsibility and my duty and my job to enforce it. The law is both powerful and fragile. And today in court, we will prove our case. I thank you all for being here. And again, justice will prevail. Thank you.
Som skal ha blitt justert på. Mange saker i verden, og også litt mer.
Okay. Step inside, step inside.
This is a continuation of the single greatest witch hunt of all time. The banks got back their money. Again, there was never a default. There was never a problem. Everything was perfect. There was no crime. The crime is against me because we have a corrupt district attorney, but we have a corrupt attorney general, and it all comes down from the DOJ that totally coordinated this in Washington because I'm the leading candidate, I'm leading Biden by 10 points, and I'm leading the Republicans by 50 and 60 points. That's pretty much, they say, over. I never accept that, but they say it's over. Oh my God.
Everybody back up.